Hello and welcome to the SIME Inside Out podcast from Lancaster University Management School. We're speaking with members of the SIME community, the Center for Scholarship and Innovation in Management Education, to explore how engaging with SIME has shaped their thinking, practice, and development. These are short, real stories about the value of education community, creativity, and transformation in teaching and learning. My name is Anne, and today we have Harry Rolls in the studio with us. Hi, Harry. Welcome to the podcast. How are you feeling?
I'm good. Yeah, it's interesting. I haven't done a podcast before, so it should be an adventure.
That's great. We hopefully you'll have a wonderful experience with us today.
No pressure.
Right. So first, would you mind introducing a little bit about yourself to our listeners here?
So I'm Harry.
Hi.
I'm from the economics department, and I did my undergrad, my master's, and my PhD here as well. So I've been here a while, really, and that's kind of about it. Really, just Harry.
That's wonderful. And we heard that besides your academic life, you also do a little bit of magic on the side, right?
Yeah.
Is that your hobby or something you also do professionally?
So I've done magic since I was, I don't know how long really. Done it for a while. I did quite a lot of it in my undergrad and stuff at uni. I was the president of the Magic and Circus Society here on campus, which was quite fun.
I see.
But yeah, just done it for ages, really. It's just a bit of fun.
Let's start with your recent PhD journey. What was that like for you, and what did you discover through this experience about yourself?
So my PhD was in pure economic research. It was in behavioural and experimental economics, which is really interesting. Lots of maths, which was horrendous. I don't really like maths, which is probably an oddity for the economics department. But I really feel I just didn't really like research that much. I'm much more motivated by teaching, and I only got my PhD so I could teach at the university level kind of anyway. So it definitely reassured me that, being a professional researcher isn't for me. So do the teaching and maybe look into that kind of stuff more instead.
So what drew you to teaching, and what actually keeps you motivated in this space?
I don't know. I've just always been into teaching. So whenever anyone spoke to me as when I was a small kid or stuff like that, it's always been, what do you want to be when you're older? I was like, I just want to be a teacher, really. Started off wanted to be a primary school teacher, then wanted to be a high school teacher. Didn't have a great time in high school, so let's do college or sixth form. Didn't enjoy college or sixth form, so let's try the other one. So, but I quite like being able to teach in higher education because you can kind of pick what you're doing and you're not as bound by edXL's curriculum or something like that. So it's a bit more freeing. I can talk about things.
That's great. And so did you join SIME right after you finished your PhD and started your teaching career?
So I found SIME through the launch event, actually. It was just a random email, really, and I thought, well, I'll go along to that. I quite like teaching. We have the Atlas program here at Lancaster, and it was around that time I was finishing up my associate fellow kind of stuff that it popped up. I thought, well, we might as well just keep going, really, and it's been on to most things ever since, really.
That's great. And actually, what made you decide to actually get involved with SIME, and what did you hope that it might offer at that point in your academic journey?
I think at the start it was a lot of curiosity and stuff like that. I've always wanted to learn more, and it was quite nice to meet other people who were really interested in this is how we can teach and this is how we can speak about teaching, which is when your department is mainly as well academic researchers, it's quite a lonely space sometimes when you're one of the only people in the department who's I'm only here so I can teach, whereas other people are researchers first and then teaching because it's part of their contract and stuff like that. So it's nice to have that space, really.
Yeah, that's true. That's what we heard from a lot of our guests about SIME, actually. Yeah.
It's been like a sorting mechanism to get everyone in the management school who is interested in this space together.
Yeah. So once you've joined SIME, what stood out the most to you? Was there like a particular moment when you were like, oh yeah, this is it for me?
Well, there's lots of baked stuff at the first one, so that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
If you want to get people to join your research centre, bribe them with food is always good.
I see.
I think it was honestly just how kind of electric it was at the start, and hadn't really seen much like that. There isn't much of those kind of centres in the space anyway, so it's quite nice quite refreshing to have this kind of space to do these things.
I see. And did this initiative challenge any of your assumptions, maybe around how teaching innovation works or how to collaborate in like a university setting?
I think it transformed the entire thing, really, because when you're in like university spaces, you don't really go on teaching courses. Well, this is how to teach.
Yeah.
It's not like high school, you got to get qualifications to be a teacher at a high school. It's very much I think it's kind of a flaw in the system where they just kind of assume, oh, you have a PhD, you must know how to teach. And we know that's not really the case, really. So it allows me to like have like quite a blank slate and go, oh, this is what people are doing in these kind of spaces, and this is what I can do and what I can change in my practice, really. So you're not just in your own bubble or an echo chamber, really.
Yeah. So was there anything about the way SIME was run, like the people, the structure, the culture there, that helped you feel more confident or creative in your work?
I think I've always tried to be creative, kind of anyway. It comes from vast amounts of creative hobbies and stuff like that. But I think it was really good to see people like being quite brave with it and like really pushing it out there with what they're doing in their practice. And we've seen quite a lot of that with SIME in the last couple of years of people sharing their practice. And it's so out there. You wouldn't really find that kind of stuff in a book. You can only really see it by seeing people having those conversations with them and going, oh, why don't you try this? Or why don't you do this? It just kind of gives a bit more space, really.
Yeah. And talking about the people, I think you've mentioned this, but one of the most exciting part of SIME is the mix of people from different disciplines, right? How do you find yourself engaging with colleagues from other subject areas?
It was really fun, actually. It's quite nice to see other people's perspectives. It's a bit hard sometimes because economics is really mathematical and quite a lot of other things in the management school don't have as much of that stuff. So there's a big challenge in some cases of how do I relate this to teaching maths? Like a lot of the stuff you can't really apply, but you can get the spirit of what it's doing and stuff like that. But it's really nice to speak to people who have no concept of what you're doing and trying to kind of explain your practice and trying to justify it to them, really. And then getting the perspective of someone who has never taught in that subject and go, this is a completely fresh perspective, to getting those as well.
Yeah, that's true. Is there anything that surprised you about these exchanges, or is there a moment or a conversation that actually inspires something new that you bring into your teaching?
I think everyone's just how friendly and welcome it is as a community. I think a lot of people say like the softball community is very welcoming. It's not like I'm the best in this field, like you're all worse than me kind of stuff. It's everyone is trying to bring everyone up, which is really nice. And I think every single session I've attended of SIME, I've gotten something out of it. And I thought, okay, let's try and think about that in my practice. How can I put the students even more at the front of what I'm doing and stuff like that? And they're kind of giving me ideas, and even if I can't apply those ideas, it's like that thought process for how you've met the needs of the students first, and that's really interesting.
Oh yeah, that actually sounds amazing. And has there been any practical impact of all of that change that you apply to your teaching? Did you notice anything different in how students respond or performed in class?
I think students have definitely responded really well to it. I've been quite lucky in general. I've had quite good teaching scores like before SIME and stuff like that. But I've really noticed that students are kind of stronger with what they're doing, and I feel like this kind of engagement has given me ideas on how I can communicate ideas, especially the complicated ones, a lot better, and kind of like redefine the process of how I think about material and how I teach my students, which I think that's, at the end of the day, that's all that matters really. Is if the students are happy and they're paying a lot of money to come to university, we might as well try and make them happy.
That's great, yeah. And were there any supports like peer feedback, resources, or just space to experiment from SIME? Because we heard that SIME also offer a space for you to explore, present new ideas, and they will give you feedbacks, right? And that helped you apply these ideas into action. Do you have any experience you can share with that?
Yeah, I think we've definitely been braver with what we're doing. I think everyone who's been in SIME and has like been some of these sorts of shared practice and taken something from it.
Yeah.
Sorry, what was the question bit again? I'm going to go on a tangent otherwise.
It's okay. So, were there... Okay, 5 seconds. So, were there any supports like peer feedback, resources, or just space to experiment within SIME that actually help you turn your ideas into action?
Yeah, there we go. I think there's definitely been a lot of that kind of space. I think because everyone in the centre is very much student first, like everyone's very interested in what everyone else is doing. So I feel like I could be quite comfortable and just go up to someone who knows a lot about eye tracking, go and ask them for some ideas. So what have you done with that? Or how can I take like your video practice and how can I apply it to what I'm doing? And then I can go to them with ideas and they go, oh, I don't know, but here's some literature on it, or here is someone else in the department or in the centre who knows about these kind of things. Why don't you go and ask them? And everyone's so happy to not gatekeep their practice, really, which is really enjoyable, and just being able to have people who are in that mindset is quite refreshing, really.
Yeah, that sounds really inspiring. So talking about yourself a little bit more, has your experience with SIME actually had any impact on your career path or how you're approaching your direction after your PhD?
I think it's definitely had a massive impact. I get quite involved with all the running of the SIME stuff. Radka's been very supportive of supporting me as like a really early careers researcher, which is really nice, and everyone else is kind of supporting that as well, which has been quite a lot of fun. But it's really helped solidify the fact that I'm definitely a teacher first and then a researcher second. So I can use the research skills I've kind of developed to apply to teaching, which is really a lot more satisfying for me. And I think being put onto this kind of like this teaching path has been a lot more rewarding for me as well. I just enjoy it, really. I just want to teach, really.
Oh, yeah, I love that. So, and something we always hear from our guests here at the podcast is that SIME actually help you to share what you learn more broadly, maybe with colleagues through conferences, publications beyond Lancaster University, actually. So have you had any opportunities to do that, to disseminate your work more broadly?
Well, I've not been as brave with that kind of stuff yet. We've had a couple projects, and some of them have been shared like around the university. That's been really good, and I think they'll go a bit further than that. We have this blog as well. I'm not sure if you've seen the blog and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, that's quite cool as well. And we've had all this, and it's given me the opportunity to network as well with people from all over the place, really. So whilst I haven't been the bravest of like sharing everything I'm doing, I've definitely engaged in a much wider community than I think I would have without it, really.
Yeah, that's totally fine. And so do you feel that being part of SIME, however, help amplify your voice as a teacher and help you bridge your creative side with your academic side more?
I think so, yeah. I think I'm definitely a lot more creative in how I would approach things now, instead of just, you know, having things on a slide and teaching with that. I'm definitely a lot more brave at using like other mediums for it and like kind of combining and mixing and matching what I'm doing. I don't think I'd have been brave enough to try these kind of things without having, there is like a literature behind this and there's support for this kind of stuff. Yeah. So I'm definitely a lot more confident in stuff like that. And I think it does show. I think the students are appreciating that. And even if things go wrong in kind of classes, they kind of understand that, you know, we're trying to do things better for them. And they're a lot more forgiving of a mistake in that sense than just tough, deal with it kind of stuff.
Yeah. Right. So now let's look ahead of us. What excites you the most about the future in academia and teaching with initiatives like SIME?
I think it's just how much more of them are popping up at the moment, really. I think SIME was quite an early adopter of having these kind of centres, especially it being like across a management school is amazing, as opposed to like just like teaching economics. Like having that perspective is so cool, and the fact that it is expanded outside of the management schools, we've got people from architecture and stuff like that. That's awesome, really, because you can get what they're doing as well. And I would never think to walk up to the other end of campus to go and ask someone in architecture, how are you managing group work, for example? So I'm really excited, like looking forward, that this is becoming so much more common, and universities are kind of realising there's a lot of value in teaching, because that's where all the money comes from as well for the universities. Like most of the money comes from like students coming, so why don't we give them like a better product, if you want to think about it like that. Yeah. And if you could shape the future of SIME, then is there anything you would love to see more or see what do next? Just more SIME, really, isn't it? It's just more of that, really. It's doing great. I think having this space is amazing. I think it's just getting more people engaged with it, making people more aware of what we're doing. And I think the university's really come around to seeing like there is so much value in this community. So it's pushing it more, really, and just doing more of it.
Yeah, sounds great. So for our final question, for someone who still might be feeling a little bit unsure about joining a program like SIME, what would you say to them?
Just do it. It's not. It's the first step is always the scariest kind of thing, really. I think once you've taken that first step onto, okay, I want to do this, the second step and the third is so much easier. It's much easier to throw yourself into something if you've already got a foot in the door than just a kind of a closed door. So just go for it, really. It does great stuff, really. You could end up on podcasts doing all sorts of stuff, really.
Right. Thank you, Harry. Thank you very much for sharing your insights with us today. It's been a very insightful conversation. And to those of you who are listening, thank you so much for being with us. If you're interested or curious about joining a SIME, please visit us at www.lancaster.ac.uk/LUMS/ in the Research Centre section, or just find us on LinkedIn. We're always keen to welcome new voices who are passionate about education, innovation, and meaningful learning journeys. See you next time.